Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret elements that literally make our modern world possible. I mean, they're in your phone, they're the key to our green energy future, and their story, it's probably one of the most important you've never heard.
You look at these things, and at first glance, they seem to have nothing in common. But it turns out they all depend on a set of 17 kind of obscure, almost magical elements.
And the answer is rare earth elements. But here's the thing. The first thing you absolutely need to know about them is that their name is a complete lie. Let's break down why rare isn't the right word at all. Okay, so scientifically, what are we talking about here? It's the specific group of 17 elements. You can think of them like a really close-knit family on the periodic table. They've all got similar chemical personalities, and they're almost always found sort of huddled together in the same mineral deposits. So here's the first big twist in the story. These elements aren't actually rare, not even close. In fact, many of them are more common in the Earth's crust than things like gold or silver. The name is totally misleading. The whole rarity thing, it's not about how much there is, it's about how hard it is to get your hands on. See, they're scattered super thinly all over the globe, not in nice, rich, easy-to-mine chunks, and they're all chemically locked together. Imagine trying to separate 17 different kinds of sand that are all mixed up in one big jar. That's the incredibly difficult and expensive challenge of purifying these elements. A really great way to think of them is like technology's vitamins. You only need a tiny, tiny amount, but without that one little pinch of a specific element, the whole device, whether it's a motor, a screen, a lens, it just won't work. They are absolutely critical. So where do you find them? Well, let's start with the device that you're probably holding in your hand, or at least have in your pocket right now. Yep, inside your smartphone. They are hiding in plain sight. That vibration you feel? That's powered by tiny little supermagnets made with neodymium. The brilliant reds and greens on your screen, that's europium and terbium doing their thing. Even the super sharp, clear photos you get from your camera, that's thanks to lanthanum in a lens. They are the invisible workhorses inside your phone. But their importance, it extends way beyond our gadgets. Honestly, rare earths are the absolute foundation of the green energy transition. Without them, a lot of our goals for a cleaner future are, well, they're just not going to happen.
You look at an EV or a wind turbine, and the whole game is efficient power, right? Well, neodymium magnets make electric motors smaller, lighter, and way more powerful. And those exact same magnets are what allow these massive wind turbines to generate electricity so effectively. They're really the key to unlocking green power at a huge scale.
And to put the scale of this into perspective, get this. A single offshore wind turbine needs over 500 pounds of rare earth magnets just to operate. Now multiply that by the thousands upon thousands of turbines we need, and you start to see the immense scale of the demand. And the list just goes on, from critical defense systems and aerospace alloys to life-saving MRI machines. These elements are woven into the very fabric of almost every advanced sector of our economy. So this absolute necessity, it brings us to a huge geopolitical question. If everybody needs these things, who actually controls them? And this is where the story takes a really strategic turn. When it comes to just digging them out of the ground, one country is way out in front. In 2023, China produced nearly 70% of the world's rare earths. I mean, other nations like the US and Australia are in the game, sure, but they are playing on a completely different level. But mining is really only a half the story. The real power lies in refining. That's the complex, pretty dirty process of turning the raw ore into usable metals. And here, China's control is even bigger, at around 90%. This creates a massive strategic bottleneck. Get this, even elements mined in the US often have to be sent to China for that final processing. And that brings us to the dark side of this story. Because our high-tech green future, it's being built on a foundation that has a devastating environmental cost. The numbers here are just staggering. For every single ton of finished rare earth elements you produce, the process can create up to 2,000 tons of toxic waste. We're talking heavy metals, acidic wastewater, even radioactive byproducts. And the fallout from that is just devastating. We're talking about widespread contamination of soil and water, the creation of radioactive dumps, and air pollution that affects entire communities. It is a dirty, destructive business that leaves behind a terrible legacy of environmental damage. And here's the thing, this problem is accelerating. As the world rightly demands more electric vehicles and more wind turbines, the need for these elements is just exploding. Demand has already doubled in the last 15 years, and the pressure on the supply chain and on the environment is becoming immense. So, how do we fix this? Well, there's no single easy answer. The path forward really needs a four-part strategy. We've got to diversify our supply chains so we're not dependent on one source. We have to create a circular economy by getting way better at recycling e-waste. We have to innovate cleaner ways of mining. And ultimately, we need to discover new materials to replace them altogether. And all of this leaves us with the central paradox of our time. The very technology we need to build a clean future depends on one of the planet's dirtiest industries. How we solve that conflict, the one between our green ambitions and our geological realities, that might just be one of the defining challenges of our generation.